Everyone, and welcome to the Landlording Show. This is the show to get the information on how to make your investment properties as profitable and smooth running as you possibly can. I'm your host, Tim Harstead. For those of you who have not listened before and don't know who I am, I run a property management company that deals with the south side of Chicago. So we have seen and heard and dealt with almost any scenario that you can think of that you might end up dealing with your rental property. On today's episode, many of you may notice that I'm in a different spot than my normal recording spots. I'm actually sitting in an Airbnb in Texas. And just want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing here and sort of what my family has decided to do for this month of November. We're actually taking a vacation that is 30 days long. We're actually in a town called New Braunfels, Texas. We have our base here. We're sort of just driving around and visiting different spots in central Texas, sightseeing and all that stuff. And this is something that I originally got the idea from probably 6-7 years ago when I read 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. If you guys haven't read that book, it's a great book to read. It talks about setting up your business, and we'll talk about this more on future episodes, but one thing that a lot of people don't properly look at their investments in is that this is a business. When you are investing in real estate, you are forming a business, and the more you can run it like a company, the better the investment's going to be for you. And we'll touch base on that in a different episode. But to go back to what we're talking about, Tim Ferriss talks about in his business that he likes to group all of his work together as much as possible so that he can go on these long 30 or 60-day vacations and actually get to, quote unquote, live in a new town. And this has been something that I've aspired to for years and something that my family is finally doing for the first time. Now, I say all that not to brag. However, this is a cool experience, and we're on day 2 right now, and we'll be here for, like I said, up until the first week of December. So it's going to be a cool time. But the reason I want to talk about that is on today's episode, I want to talk about setting up your goals. And when you set up your goals, I want to talk about what to look for when you set the goals for your business, your investment business. And I sort of want to talk about how they may make things different the way that you approach things. So first, let's talk about setting your goals, right? If you don't have a place that you're trying to reach, you're never going to get there. And, if you're not looking forward, you're going backwards. That's something that I've always believed in. So having goals, having things that you can look forward to, it makes all the hard work worth it when you're seeing what you're trying to look forward to. You're going to grind a lot more. And B, it also makes sure that you're not going to overstretch. So, if your goal is just to have a few extra dollars every month, then you don't need to have 100 units, because the stress of those 100 units is not going to give you what you're looking for when you're just trying to get a couple $100 extra every month. So I want to talk about that. So I'm going to break down the reasons I think most people are investing into a few categories, and then sort of we'll take one by one and break them down and discuss how they will differentiate the way you go about building your portfolio. The first one I want to talk about is probably one of the more common ones, and that is just as a retirement fund. So if your goal is, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s to a sense, this can still be something that you're working towards. If your goal is to make sure that your retirement is well funded, the way that you should be building your portfolio is going to differentiate a little bit from people who are trying to build these empires or trying to get rich. One, you're going to be able to build it a little less stressful, because especially depending on where you're at in time, you can take your time building it, because you have till you're 65 or 70 or who knows at this point what the average retirement age is going to be in 20 years, but you have some time to build that portfolio, and you have some time to nitpick and make sure that you are buying and selling properties and holding on to the ones that are going to have the least amount of expenses and the best chance of having good tenants consistently giving you income. So I would look, to build your portfolio, even if you have to start in a C class area because you don't have the funds to buy something in an A class, start to build that up to where you're buying a couple properties, selling them, buying maybe a smaller property in an A class area, because we want that steady income. We want that life to be as stress-free as possible. We just want our property management company to send us money every month so that we have it ready to go. And this is going to help us with our income in retirement. It's going to help supplement all of our other things, but we don't have to worry about getting as many properties as we can right now. We don't have to worry about any of that. We just need to worry about getting solid properties with little issues and in areas that we know that are going to be consistently paying rent. So we want to try to aim for A and B class properties by the time we hit that retirement age. Another thing that's going to differentiate is we want to pay off those mortgages as fast as possible. I know all the experts are going to tell you, do not pay off your mortgage, do not pay off your mortgage. But if the goal is to use this money as retirement money, having that property free and clear means you don't have to pay a mortgage. That means if you have a 3-flat and each unit is bringing you $1,000, your cash flow is not $100. Your cash flow is going to be $3,000. You don't have to worry about paying a mortgage. All you have to worry about then is paying your taxes and paying for maintenance, paying your property management company, all that stuff, so that you can go and fly away and go on vacations and do all that stuff and live that life that you've been working so hard for. You'll be able to do that by having this set up the proper way and make sure that those mortgages are paid off by the time you hit retirement. The second part of that is we want to have all our CapEx ready. So we know that you need a roof every 30 years. We know that there's some bigger items that need to be replaced, and we want to try to get those all done relatively within, a few years before retirement. We can plan that out in that way. That way, we know as we get older into our 80s and 90s and money becomes tighter and tighter, that we don't have to worry about having that come through and having those big CapEx projects. We also want to, if you go back a few episodes, we talked about reserve funds. We want to make sure that we have that reserve fund that we're not living off of, that is just there for the building and ready to put that new roof on. So that way, if we put a new roof on when we're 60 and it needs a new roof when we're 90, we have the money put away to do it. And we can keep living the life that we want, especially as life expectancy keeps growing. I think, honestly, our children, if you're around my age and you have children, there's going to be a good chance that they live into their 150s the way technology is going. And so we want to be able to have everything good and be ready to pass it on and not pass on problems. So that's the retirement side. What if we want to just have a few extra bucks, right? Again, now you're looking at having something that's more actively making money and constantly trading it, trying to build as much as you can. So you might not be as worried about paying down the mortgage as you are about buying more properties, buying more and more and more. So that way you can keep building your empire and try to work for that lifestyle. Now, I think one of the biggest myths of real estate investing is that it's easy, that it's super passive, all these things. Even if you have a property manager, when you have a property manager, you are giving up some of your profits for time and freedom. So again, when you're at that point, having a property manager is great because you don't have to worry about the day in, the day out, all that stuff. But we need to make sure that you guys have the funds and are ready and are finding the right deals to be able to have that property manager pay all the bills. All of those things become very important. So going back to the lifestyle and the myth, right? These can be very stressful things. So if you're going to have 100 doors, you're going to have 100 doors worth of stress. Now, the good news is you're going to have $100 worth of income and $100 worth of profit, and that can make your life much better. So that's going back to what I'm talking about. The lifestyle that I want to build with my businesses and my real estate is more so a lifestyle like this, where I'm going now, where I am working 80 hours a week on everything, but it's allowing me to have these adventures with my family and do things with my family that I could never even dream of 10 years ago. I'm here now, like I said, in New Braunfels, Texas for a month. This is something that's been on our list for a while. I'm actually taking my dad to Vegas, something that he hasn't been in 30 years. And it's a family trip that we're doing with my siblings and my dad. That's going to be just this awesome trip. So this is the type of things that I want to do. So I'm willing to have that stress load of having a lot more units that we manage, a bigger business that I manage. Versus if I'm just looking for a couple extra $100, I may only want one condo or 1 2-flat, and then that's it. And I'm just going to make that 2-flat perfect, pay it down, and get as much income from it as I can, because I don't need everything. I don't need it to be that big. So knowing what you actually want with your real estate investment is going to help you design how to plan and what steps you should take when building your portfolio, how fast to go, what type of properties to look for. And it's just something that I want to put on everyone's radar as you're thinking about your business and business planning, especially as we're in November. It's that time, fourth quarter, where everyone's looking towards next year and what you're going to do. Do you want to buy another property? I know all the gurus want you to, but do you need to? Or or should you just work on making the property you have as good as possible and as profitable as possible, and use your time for that? So a lot of things to think about. I am going to sign off on this one. I know this is a shorter episode, but just something I wanted to touch base on and talk to everyone about. Hope everyone out there is doing great. Please subscribe to the channel, whether you're on Spotify or iTunes or on YouTube. Subscribe. Write us a 5-star review if you have a few seconds and you like these type of podcasts. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we'll talk to you guys all in a few weeks. Have a great one.